Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today I've got these two beauties, TAMIYA Terra Scorcher, not really, and the TAMIYA Top Force. See this one in my previous video. Both kind of my two top favourite RC buggies of when I was a child. I had the Terra Scorcher, that was my first actual buggy, the Terra Scorcher. Back in 1989, 1990 thereabouts. Box art all the way through. Started off standard gearing, well, can't change the gearing, standard motor, sorry. And up the battery power a bit more, and put a, I think it was a Palmer Cyclone Pro modified double turn, might have been like a 19 double turn, something like that, on a 16 or 15 turn pinion. And boy, it was ballistic. Well, to me it was back then anyway. It's got to have been around, just a guess, 35 miles an hour maybe. Only say that is because back then my friend was just starting to drive his car, and we tested it side by side down the road, and he said it was around about 35 miles an hour on his speedo. So that was pretty cool actually. And that was on the old manuals. Speed control as well. We didn't have the ESCs back then, so it was pretty epic. I don't know. It was basically just wasn't bash it. It was just up and down the street, and a bit of off road. It was funny actually because one day I was driving around my street just outside my house, and I was going up and down the road, and cars obviously use the road. And this one time, the car came around a corner, and I was going quite fast, and I tried to get out of the way. It sort of hit the curb and bounced back a bit into the path of the car, and the car ran over it. And this was, I don't know if you know, especially in the UK, it was a big old Ford Granada, you know, like probably a 2-ton car, and it just literally just, sorry the picture, it just went straight over the middle like one wheel. And I just, you know, straight away I closed my eyes and I thought, it's destroyed my pride and joy. Got to it, and there was a slight crack in the body, a bit of scuff here and there. It was all good, nothing was broken. It was like, how is that even possible? So yeah, it's across the top of the chassis, it could take a 2-ton car and not break. How amazing is that? Or just a fluke. Let's move my top force out of the way. Right, so as you can see, it's not a Terra Scorcher, it's a Terra Scorcher shell on a DF-01 chassis. So this was, I bought it originally, it was a Manta Ray. So I put the carbon fibre stickery stuff on there, just to sort of bring it up a bit. Painted bits blue, like the uprights and so on. Also the dampers or shocks, added more yellow bits to it, just to take it back to the original sort of Terra Scorcher of the day. Driver figure, Avanti, standard at the moment. That will be modified and painted. Doesn't take much modifying, it's just to fill out the gaps that you can see there. Or I might just leave it and just paint it and see how we go with that. TAMIYA, what were they called? Large dish wheels and dual block tyres, front and back. And this one has got the brushless motor, 4370 kV, I think it is. It's like a cheap Chinese one, but it's pretty good. 60 amp ESC, and I run it on a 3S LiPo battery with 80C rating. And you'll see in my previous video up here where this was originally the Manta Ray, everything has the same apart from the body shell. And this thing, you know, literally, it's not designed to do it. It's popping wheelies like that, and in some cases just literally just flipping over with the power. It's just incredible. Obviously it wasn't designed to do that in the day, but I have bashed it a fair bit, taken it over ramps and so on. It's rolled, cartwheeled, all sorts, and it's taken it really well. And the only thing that I broke was the damper tower at the back, because as I was it kept doing the wheelies and flipping. It was on grass. First of all, it ripped the TAMIYA Manta Ray wing off, and then I carried on driving it just for no fun. I thought, oh well, it's ripped that off, who cares? And it was taking it and taking it and taking it, and then it did another sort of flip like that. So it was the momentum of it, and it came down, and the whole shock tower dug into the mud, because it was kind of soft mud. Dug in and forced it to do that, and it actually snapped the top of the shock tower. So it's ordered a new one, bit of a bummer. But other than that, I hadn't replaced anything. It's taken it, taken it, and taken it. I mean, okay, I'm not going to take it to a skate park and launch it, 1,000 feet in the air. That's just ridiculous. That's not what it's designed to do. But yeah, so far, pretty good. I wanted to stick with the box art colour because it's just, well, it's a Terra Scorcher, isn't it? I may in the future get another shell and just, bling it, paint it completely different. I've seen some really nice ones out there on the internet. Talking of the shell, because this is the new one, what Tamiya did was back in the 90s, after the Terra Scorcher, they released the Dirt Thrasher on this DF-01 chassis, and they altered it slightly. Apart from the wing, what they did was, you can see this part here is cut out, but the original Terra Scorcher, it comes down here, so you've got about an extra inch. I know it doesn't sound much, but it changes the shape of it, and you can't see on this one because I've covered it in decals now, but there is, in the actual plastic polycarbonate, there is a faint line that goes up here, a groove on both sides. And when I first got the shell, I thought, well, it must be like a manufacturing error or something, like a defect. But it turns out it's not. That's what Tamiya intended to do when they did it as a Dirt Thrasher. You see, you could put the mask the line, follow that line, mask it, paint the main part blue, and then paint these parts, the other side of the line, white, or vice versa, sorry, white there and blue there, and then put the decals on. So that's the main difference with the shell. Obviously the newer ones haven't got the cutout, because on the original you had the manual speed control and like the heat sink there. You still get little indents there where you can cut out for the original Terra Scorcher. Oh, another thing as well is, obviously the original one had a indent cut out bit here, which was designed for the antenna aerial to stick out. These ones haven't got it, which I prefer because it keeps it even on both sides, which is pretty cool. Okay, the wing obviously is fitted differently. I'll get a screwdriver and I'll take this off and I'll show you what I mean. Right, screwdriver to hand. I've used really small ones on this just so that it doesn't sort of overwhelm it. Less is best, I think, with this. I'll hurry up because the battery's going to go flat on my camera. Down there. Right, so on the back here, it's the DF-01 Manta Ray wing mount. What I've done is I've cut out pieces of plastic and given it a bit of depth as well, and moved the mounting holes for the Terra Scorcher along, because the original mounting holes for the Manta Ray are here, and if I put the wing on that, it would be quite far back. Yeah, it's alright, but I think it's a bit too much open space here. So then I thought, well, I wanted to keep it close to the original as possible, but not exactly the same. So it goes there, but I think on the original Terra Scorcher it's like meets up with the white lines there. It's a bit closer. So it's a little bit back because it gives it a bit more sort of streamlined look, I think. So there's the wing. I have them backed in white. Maybe I should do one day to give it a bit more pop of a colour. Quickly pop the shut off. Use Velcro on the sides. Just hold it down. Driver. Again, it just needs painting up. Inside, it's a bit, not too bad, but it needs a bit of a clean. It's got dust and dirt in there. Here you see, mounted on its side, it's got the fan. The reason I put it down that, it was only simply sort of put the top force on, but with the Terra Scorcher or the Terra Conquer shell, these wires don't matter because there's lots of space. Upgrade, aluminium motor mount, which you can't see, aluminium main shaft, fully ball raced. I don't know what else upgrades there are. I think that's it. I think that's standard sort of Manta Ray as it was intended, really. Standard gears at the moment. Do intend to put the high speed gear set in this, so I'm going to go to 66 tooth spur gear and a 25 tooth pinion, which would give it a tremendous high top speed, probably 55 miles an hour maybe. But there's one problem is, I've had a quick look, this original gearbox is original Manta Ray back in the 90s, and the hole where the motor goes in is quite small, and I can't get the 25 tooth pinion in there. I've checked, and the only way to do that is get a newer gearbox which has got like a letter H stamped on it, which is what majority are now anyway, and the hole is bigger, so a 25 tooth pinion will go in there. So that will be coming up in a later video. Be interesting. Yeah. So what do you think, guys?